Hey guys, ISO here, back to bring you another Classic WoW video. I figured today we should discuss some add-ons for Classic WoW, because as far as I know and remember, add-ons were a bit more limited to what they are today. As Ian Hosacosta stated during a live panel, they're wanting to do away with add-ons that actually automate functions, as that could very well take away from an authentic Classic experience. With that being said, let's dive in and talk about some add-ons you may want to consider when playing Classic WoW, starting with Questy. It acts much like the in-game built questing style that we have today in modern WoW. Now, don't jump straight into the comments and start blasting me and saying that this destroys the authentic Classic experience, because yes, although I do agree, I make these videos to help new and returning players, and maybe even gain some current players from BFA. For some, they prefer this style of questing, and they're assisted in where to go, and that's okay. Me personally, I prefer to do it the old school way, talk to the quest giver, read the quest, figure it out. And that's just how I prefer to do it, and that's where the adventure is for me. Anyway, using this add-on and questing out in the world, it should point you in the right direction of where to go. It'd be pretty handy if you want to play Classic and you're just not ready to be doing it on your own yet. This next one, it's more of a fun one. It's actually called KOS Manager, also known as Kill On Site Manager. The purpose of this sort of add-on is to actually flag players as a potential threat. It acts as a community-wide add-on actually. Say there's a server ganker that commonly goes around slaying other players. This will alert you as a kill on-site player, because we all know that playing on a PvP server, sometimes we'd like to do something called being a Care Bear, where you don't kill a player of the opposite faction, but this add-on will actually track if they're flagged and track their KDR, otherwise known as their kill-death ratio. And you'll know whether to be on your guard or kill them on site. The next one, pretty handy one, and it's even in current WoW. I'm sure most people actually remember this one from Classic anyway. It's actually Omni CC. Pretty straightforward. It's just a cooldown count for everything, and it will track your cooldowns with nice big numbers on your action bar. A handy add-on that I've been using since Classic WoW anyway. This next one, actually named CC Watch. It's similar to Omni CC, except this one does a cooldown count for when you're being CC'd. It looks like a CASTBAR. It counts down so you're not having to watch the top right corner of your screen. And it looks like a little box. These bars, they actually can be moved around so you can choose where you want to put them. So they're easier to view, and you don't tunnel vision during PvP, because being a tunnel visioner, pretty bad idea for PvP. And yeah, so you don't lose sight of what you're meant to be doing. The next one, pretty neat add-on actually, it's called Mob Info. It does exactly as the name describes. So say for instance you're targeting a mob, it'll actually show up with a little box. Show up on the screen right now, and it'll show how much the creature is actually worth with XP, shows how many you actually have to kill until you can level, shows the type of creature, how much HP it is, and actually kind of what class it is as well actually. And it'll give you more of a roleplay insight into the creature you'll encounter whilst leveling through Azeroth. The next one on this list is actually named BONGOS. It's movable bar and framework add-on. Now I know during the actual current BFA game, like we have Dominoes, we've got Pitbull, I think it is. For Classic WoW, I think we're probably going to be using Bongos. Dominoes might get a rework, but anyway. It's so you can keep your user interface looking a lot cleaner, because obviously with all the add-ons that you guys are going to be using, your user interface is probably going to get somewhat cluttered. Personally, I'll probably just stick to the default UI, because, it's pretty clean looking anyway, and in terms of add-ons, I don't plan on using that many, but it more or less just makes all your add-ons look a lot cleaner. Next one's actually especially handy for PvP. It's called Enemy CASTBAR. Put simply, it just shows a replication of your target's CASTBAR, whether it be PvP or PvE. But I see it being quite handy, as you could set a focus onto an enemy healer and have a bigger CASTBAR where you'd like to, so you could interrupt them a little bit easier. Just, a bit more graphical, especially if you've got poor eyesight like me. I'm just not wearing my glasses right now. These next two are actually kind of a duo, and they go together like bread and butter. And that is DPS Mate and Threat Meter. Obviously, DPS Mate is going to act like what Recount or Details is today. Or if you actually remember Omen Threat Meter. Obviously, we don't use Threat Meters anymore because they've got the little inbuilt ones on the actual UI today. But Threat's really not an issue. Even in like the Mythic Plus affix, it's hardly anything. Anyway, DPS Mate will actually act more like Details will, so it'll actually show damage done, damage taken, dispels, so on. It's more of actually an analyzing tool, so it'll be really useful for raiding, not so much PvP, except I guess, Flaunt. Threat Meter does exactly as it says. It tracks how much threat you have, and threat's actually going to be a very important mechanic in Classic WoW. Do not underestimate it. A lot of the spells and abilities in Classic WoW are actually very high threat generation, so you might pull aggro off the tanker and get one shot. Another useful one, again, it's in current WoW, actually Atlas loot. This add-on actually allows you to access all possible loot you could get from a dungeon instead of having to go through Wowhead or Classic DB or Google. You simply just, click where your map is. It brings out the Atlas loot UI, and with the Atlas loot, when you actually pull it down, it brings up an entire tab of all the gear and best in slot gear actually for your class if you set it that way. Again, it's a handy one to have, time-saving add-on, so I would recommend it. And the last one I'll do on this list, actually, I don't want to flood my UI with too many add-ons, so that's why I'm not going through too many, is actually Titan Panel. Again, that's in current BFA. I'm sure almost everyone remembers this add-on. It's got XP tracking, it's got money tracking across all your characters, and it can even show if you've earned more than you've used, so again, pretty good for money tracking. It has coordinates, which again will probably be pretty useful, because when you go to Wowhead or you go to Thoughtbot, when you're looking for a particular quest, so say you want to kill a mob, you're going to need coordinates because people are going to actually type them out. So otherwise it'll be like, oh, go northeast. Honestly, it's got a lot of plugins that actually come with this add-on, which I probably wouldn't use anyway, but there are a few useful ones. It's got some useful knickknacks on there. But with that being said, it's probably one of the highest recommended I'd suggest for you to get when Classic releases. Obviously as well, for UI, to make your UI look a bit more flashy and different, you've got XPERL. Now I'm not sure if XPERL will actually be available and ready as soon as Classic launches. So actually a lot of these add-ons that I've mentioned might not even be ready because, as you all know, add-ons need to be adjusted and set to what's going on with the current in-game data that's being sent through. Anyway guys, if you've made it this far to the video, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe as it really helps me out. I'm just a small channel growing. New videos every Tuesday and Friday every week, 5 PM Melbourne time. Cheers for tuning in. I'll catch you boys and girls later. Peace.